All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, Errol Spence Jr. responds to Floyd Mayweather Jr. like hate that he is getting on the internet from the usual suspects. Let's talk about what he had to say on his Instagram page in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about the welterweight division, and specifically been listening to a lot of comments on the internet, been listening to some podcasts by the usual suspects that I don't always like to use the word, I don't like to call people racist often, but I was listening to some commentary around Errol Spence Jr. and Gervonta Tank Davis relative to what they're doing in their career. And I just have a hard time saying that it's anything else besides that, that is having so many people have absolutely different standards for them than they have for other fighters. But before I get into that, I want to make sure that you go and ahead and support my betting partner and sponsor of the video, busr.ag/Fanon. Use the promotional code Fanon, and there's definitely benefits there that you will get, special discounts and things like that you'll get on that website. So make sure you guys go check that out. And also hit the like button before you leave the video. So let's get into it. Errol Spence Jr. took to his Instagram yesterday and said, look, two career-ending, could have been, I think what he should have said, career-ending accidents over 2 years, and I'm still here. Shows the picture of his shark, of a shark, right? Big fish, the guy running around hunting, looking for everybody to collect all of these belts. And just really, man, you could tell over the last couple comments that he has left that he definitely has his ear to the ground about what's going on in the boxing world. Look, I've obviously done several videos talking about Terrence Crawford and him and the different things that are going on with the purse bids and who may be the mandatory, who may not be the mandatory, who Terrence Crawford could be fighting next and all of that stuff. But in the comments and what I've heard on other videos, man, Errol Spence Jr., man, has been absolutely, as highlighted by what he said, been treated absolutely ridiculously unfairly when people are talking about what this man is accomplishing in his career and what he's trying to do. And I have a very, very hard time believing that it is specifically related to what people think about Terrence Crawford and what he should be doing relative to Terrence Crawford, because I'm hearing the exact same things about Gervonta Davis. I hear the same things about Jermall Charlo. I hear the same things from the same group of people. But when you look at what other people are doing, you do not hear them using the same standards that they judge one person, judging the other person by. The fact that Errol Spence Jr. has to remind people that he literally was in a car accident where his car flipped a bunch of times and he almost died, and he could have died, right? He gets right out of that and goes right into a mandatory fight against Danny Garcia, right? Now he has a torn retina. He's going right from a torn retina right into another championship fight with Yordenis Ugas. How many people in the sport of boxing show that type of warrior mentality when they're trying to accomplish that thing? Now, but people want to jump all over him, Errol Spence Jr., about the fact that he's not fighting Terrence Crawford next. Terrence Crawford is one of the champions in the division, and most definitely is the guy that people want to see in a fight with Errol Spence Jr. most. It's definitely the biggest fight in boxing for Errol Spence. But who else would coming off of those type of accidents, would you insist go fight the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, or a guy like Terrence Crawford? If Canelo Alvarez, first of all, Canelo Alvarez, who is most definitely an excellent fighter, is not required to fight anybody, no matter what weight class they are in, just pretty much off the explanation that the man sells more money, sells more pay-per-views than the other guy, or that he's fought better opposition in the past. There's absolutely no pressure put by the mainstream media or anybody else on Canelo Alvarez to fight anybody. And whenever you say, hey, I'd like to see Canelo Alvarez fight this guy, or I'd like to see Canelo Alvarez fight that guy, you immediately receive a bunch of comments about how they need to prove themselves before they get a Canelo Alvarez fight, right? Now, Canelo Alvarez is not somebody that's coming off of an injury. He's not somebody that is coming off a car accident or coming off of a torn retina, or right. He's somebody that just is a big name, and people will defend him and protect him to the ends of the earth from fighting guys in his own weight division under the auspices that guy needs to prove more, needs to do more, right? And if you look at, for example, I was listening to a podcast that was taking place yesterday, and I'm not going to say the name of the person. However, they were talking about Gervonta Tank Davis and treating Gervonta Davis as if Gervonta Tank Davis was some type of failure in his career, even though he just sold out LA, just because he sold out LA, the Staples Center in LA, right? But this guy actually let it slip what he was looking at, because he compared him to Jake Paul, right? He's like, look, basically saying that Gervonta Davis is what's wrong in boxing, and Jake Paul is what's right in boxing, pointing to the fact that Jake Paul, had as many people at his fights, and he did higher pay-per-views, without even looking at the fact that Jake Paul's not fighting he's not fighting another boxer. You might as well just call those two different sports. Jake Paul's not fighting any real competitive fighters, but what did the guy say? The guy literally said it's the demographic that he's pulling in, and how he had went to an LA Fitness or something like that in the town that he lived in, and he saw two little European kids punching the bag and talking about Jake Paul and praising Jake Paul for bringing fans to boxing, but Gervonta Davis's fan base is not diverse enough really to count, right? So it's like, I know there are critics, to Errol Spence Jr. who are really legitimately Terrence Crawford fans. And most of the people who come to this channel are really legitimately Terrence Crawford fans. But all I can really put this stuff on is the Floyd Mayweather effect and the PBC effect, where you have half of boxing that refuses to give the other half of boxing any credit for what they do, and then they jump out there in their podcasts and then wonder what's wrong with boxing. I actually listened to on Twitter, there was a conversation that took place between two boxing media people, mainstream media people. One mainstream media guy was talking about how, he was really, really excited about the sport of boxing and all the fights that had been taking place. And then the other guy was really negative about it, talking about no really good fights happen and how terrible it is. And a guy came in and was like, oh, the truth is somewhere in between. My thought on it is no, you guys want the PBC, you want half of boxing to fail. You want the PBC element of boxing to fail, because and for lack of a better term, because the top rank version of it, the ones that, that portion of boxing is not interested in boxing as much. They're more interested in MMA. The fact of the matter is that the Latino boxing and Black boxing and Black American boxing, as far as American boxing goes, has been carrying the sport for a while. And there's a lot of people that resent it, and then they turn on whatever fighter looks like they're doing the best. I would think that the fact that Errol Spence Jr. and Gervonta Davis, they don't even act like Canelo Alvarez's last pay-per-view was even with the PBC, or Floyd or Manny Pacquiao's successful stuff was with the PBC, or that Showtime is the network that is actually supporting Jake Paul and putting his fights on, right? But they just blast away at it. And to me, it's absolutely ridiculous, and nothing is more ridiculous and I'm talking about the people that are true Terrence Crawford fans, or the people that are just, hating on the PBC, right? Just completely, really just hating on the PBC. That to have a man that has had overcome that type of adversity over the last 2 years, even to get in the ring, and not be telling the story of him overcoming adversity, talking about that, acting like it didn't happen at all, and trying to claim that the man has just been ducking another fighter while he's been collecting all the belts, but not say anything about Canelo Alvarez. But anyway, That's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.